Ben McKee, West Rucker, Go Vols 24/7 here inside of Lindsey Nelson Stadium following Tennessee's run rule win, 16-0 over East Tennessee State on Wednesday afternoon. The second midweek win this week. That's a mouthful. Tennessee beats UNC Asheville 3-2 last night, and we're going to recap kind of both of those very quickly here, and we'll start with last night and kind of tie it into tonight. Tony Vitello was not happy with the approach in yesterday's win over UNC Asheville. It was They looked good on the mound, but at the plate, 5 hits, 3 runs. Kavash Tears has a home run the opposite way. Hunter Inslee has a big sac fly in the 7th inning, which proved to be the game winner. So not the best approach in the eyes of Tony Vitello. He was not happy about that after the game, but no doubt tonight that the score indicates that the approach was much better going into this game against ETSU.
Yeah, you can always make excuses if you want to, right? And Tennessee bust back from Dallas after that game, late finish Sunday night, getting back, kind of quick turnaround there. You're playing UNC Asheville, a team that's not throwing a lot of elite stuff on the mound. It just kind of can lull you a little bit, right? And midweek baseball kind of has that vibe sometimes. You don't want it to, and a lot of times during the Vitello era, it has not happened. But it does happen sometimes, and I thought that the important thing was they just kind of stuck through it and got the win. And then today, just the response. I mean, I think facing probably better pitching they faced in this game, I thought, than they did in the game before. But sometimes that's better. Sometimes these SEC teams, that's the stuff they're used to seeing, that velocity, that spin. They're like, oh, I know this. And then they just go out there and hit it all over the park. And I think the underclassmen pitchers have been great all week, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll start with the lineup, I guess, since that's fresh today. A lot of lineup changes. Christian Moore leading off, playing second today. Dean Curley, the freshman infielder, was at shortstop after dealing with a hamstring injury to start his season. And he looked really, really good. A lot of guys looked good, and we'll touch on them. But Dean Curley had the biggest hit early on in the midst of pouring it on ETSU, a big 3-run homer off the wall. And then he also had a triple, or the home run obviously went over the wall, and then the triple was off the wall. But he looked as advertised this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the next up, right? I mean, it's the way they're recruiting right now, the way they're developing. I was laughing earlier. I think our friends at Perfect Game may have had Curley as like the 33rd prospect in terms of shortstops in America. I'd like to see the 32 who were better, to be honest, because that kid, that's a big kid. Now, that's a big kid for a freshman shortstop. Can play a lot of different spots on the field, and then no nerves at all, steps into 5,000 people here, just goes out there. How you go? I mean, he said he still didn't know if he saw that pitch well, that changeup that he hit out of the yard. Could have fooled me. Looked like he put a pretty good swing on that ball. And I think when Antigua gets back, they'll have another option there. I mean, it's you have options, right? You want competitive guys, you want depth, you want guys pushing each other, ironing, sharpening iron, and that leads you to have programs like the one they've built here.
Absolutely, and so many guys got hits that I'm going to leave somebody off or somebody out. Hunter Inslee had a couple of RBI hits. Billy Amick had a big 2-run home run. Christian Moore had a big 2-run home run. Robin Villeneuve had an RBI single. Again, I'm probably leaving somebody off, but it was just a good all-around day for Tennessee, and I think it was simply what helped the approach be better today from yesterday was getting over that travel schedule, flying in late Monday afternoon. Weird, you typically don't do that, and just the carryover effect from an emotional opening weekend.
Yeah, I liked the quality of the at-bats for most of the day. I mean, I think we've all seen a bunch of these games where it's midweek and it gets late in the game and there's a blowout happening. The zone gets a little bigger, right? And I think some of those guys got rung up a little bit late on stuff that maybe you don't want to see called, but it does get called sometimes. But the competitive nature of the at-bats throughout the course of the game, I thought was really, really nice. The 2-strike approach, right? I mean, I think Curley's home run came on a 2-strike pitch too. I mean, 2-strike changeup. That's an advanced swing on a 2-strike changeup for an 18-year-old freshman shortstop. Yep. I mean, that's big time stuff. Don't take that stuff for granted. And I just thought they were moving the thing along, right? I mean, even guys like Burke and Inslee who haven't had maybe the starts they wanted this season still were giving you some pretty good at bats throughout the game. And then they had the third there when they had 11 runs, 10 hits, I think it was, something like that. They just had all that with 2 outs, man. All that with 2 outs. They just kept passing the baton, and that's what you want to do.
Absolutely. Tears had a couple of big hits as well, and then obviously had the big homer yesterday. Blake Burke, you mentioned him. He laced the double into the right field corner, 114 off the bat, which was good to see. On the mound, they also passed the baton. They were really good last night. Derek Schaefer starting that game. Austin Hundley looking like big brother Sean Hundley there to close it out. Andrew Binky looking good in between. And then today, Matthew Dallas looking like Matthew Dallas and what he was talked up to be when he signed with Tennessee. And it was just one arm after the next that was impressive. It was Dylan Loy after Matthew Dallas, J.J. Garcia rounding it out, Marcus Phillips getting in the mix. I mean, it's just the arm farm of Frank Anderson just continues to roll on.
Yeah, I did feel a little bit for ETSU when it's down 13-0 and steps, Phillips throwing 98 on the black, good morning, good afternoon, good night. I mean, that was not quite like we saw from Joyce a couple of years ago, but it sort of had some of those vibes to him, like, sorry, you're getting the crud kicked out of you. Here's 100, good luck with this guy. But, I mean, the way that Dallas looked, especially to me, I mean, Vitello mentioned Loy, and I think he should because he looked really nice too. But Dallas, I'll tell you, for a kid who had to shut it down for a while with some shoulder soreness or stiffness, whatever you want to call it, to have that frame, I mean, 6'6" or so, still looks like a number 2 pencil. You think about with a couple of years in the strength program here, I mean, you're talking about a kid who in 2 years stays healthy, he's throwing 90, upper 90s, and he's probably going off the board early in the draft. I mean, the composure already, the way that his thought process works, his calm demeanor, his athleticism. Made a really nice play over there at first base, fielding his position too. A lot of good, mature stuff from those kids today.
Absolutely. 5 games in 6 days. They'll have a day off tomorrow before 3 more in its first home opening weekend of the season. They'll welcome the Albany Great Danes to town this weekend. So we'll continue to learn more about this baseball team as we progress. We'll be 8 games in after Sunday, which is crazy to think about, but already have learned a lot and will continue to learn a lot. We will be joined by Will Heflin tomorrow on a Diamond Vols podcast, a fresh podcast, reacting to what we saw the last 2 days and kind of previewing the weekend. And of course, we have plenty of written content up at the site at govols247.com as well, and more to come. For this edition of the Around the Horn, one of many this season as we continue to try and change the narrative around Tennessee baseball, he's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee.